Recently, Democrat Adam Schiff somehow obtained the private phone records of Devin Nunes, a Republican, who just so happens to be his chief political rival in the impeachment process, as well as an American journalist who was accused of no wrongdoing. The shocking thing is he published this information, what some are now calling a major ethics violation. For me, I think this may be one of the most egregious abuses of power, privacy rights, and civil rights that I've seen maybe ever. But Devin Nunes, the target of the smear from Adam Schiff, is fighting back. Not only is he saying that this information isn't even correct, he's threatening legal action. Now, I will add something to the Republicans' credit. I've stated before that whatever these sides are in the culture war, unfortunately for the side we're on, we're unwilling to play dirty. Certainly, there are many Republicans who play dirty, but there are many moderate individuals, liberal types, libertarians, who don't want to violate someone's rights, who don't want to steal information, lie, cheat, or steal. And that means people like us are facing a major disadvantage against corrupt individuals like Adam Schiff. If it's true that Adam Schiff published false information to smear Devin Nunes, you can clearly see he's playing dirty. CNN then picks up the records and accuses a journalist of publishing conspiracy theories based off of out of context and, in my opinion, information obtained by violating their rights. I feel, and I'm going to say this is my opinion, Adam Schiff knew by releasing these logs, whether they're real or not, was going to give the press fodder for clickbait, ragebait nonsense that would then defame these individuals. Devin Nunes is threatening legal action. Unfortunately, though, so here's the pro and the con. The Republicans, so far, are unwilling to play dirty. Yes, Jim Banks has asked Lindsey Graham to subpoena Adam Schiff, saying, hey, they want to pull our records, why don't you do it? And Graham said no. I'll tell you what, we'll read the story. And while I can respect Lindsey Graham for resisting playing dirty, I got to point out, if you got someone who's openly cheating and getting away with it, and you stand on principle and refuse, it's respectable, but you are at a major disadvantage. So Devin Nunes is going to sue. We'll see if that works. Let's read the first story from Fox News. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you would like to support my work. There are several ways you can give. But the most important thing you can do, share this video. You know, one of the biggest challenges to my work is trying to explain someone who has only ever watched CNN why this matters. Because when they hear me talk, they say, hey, wait a minute. What you're saying doesn't add up with what I've heard from CNN. There is so much information that you'd have to follow in order to get to a point where you truly know what's going on. Unfortunately, many people don't. So in reality, the best thing that anyone can do, share these videos, because at least it'll start them somewhere, even if they don't want to watch it, which many people don't. It does help, and maybe then we can get people to break out of those bubbles. Let's read the story and see what Devin Nunes has to say about Adam Schiff. And I want to stress, okay, I know I've said it 50 million times at this point. What Adam Schiff did, publishing these details, is beyond shocking. It is beyond shocking. It left me literally speechless. The video I put together about it, I didn't even know. I couldn't even follow a thread. I was just sitting here like, whoa, man. Like Devin Nunes, how did he get this information on Nunez and a journalist? And where was CNN to say, do not target the press? Let's read. House Intelligence Committee ranking member Nunez of California said Saturday that he would be pursuing legal action after his phone records were exposed in the release of the committee's impeachment inquiry report. On Tuesday, the committee voted to adopt and issue a 300-page report on the findings from the panels of the impeachment inquiry accusing President Trump of misusing his office to seek foreign help in the 2020 presidential race. The report included records of calls from Nunez, Rudy Giuliani, Jay Sekulow, journalist John Solomon, Fox News host Sean Hannity, Giuliani connection Lev Parnas, and other White House associates. Appearing on Fox and Friends Weekend with hosts Pete... We don't need to read the promo for this. He said, Nunez said he's been under fire for 3 years because Republicans continue to expose corruption, citing Democrats unmasking Trump transition officials and funding the dossier. And then, of course, over the 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, this is a quote now, I think they were embarrassed by their lack of evidence they were able to present through the hearings. So what happens is, the Friday before Thanksgiving, the fake news story drops about me supposedly being in Vienna And then we get back from Thanksgiving, and lo and behold, my name, along with one of my current staff people and a former staff person, all of a sudden our civil liberties are violated because our phone records show up in this report. Now I want to stop real quick. He's saying it's false. The media has smeared Devin Nunes. This is really, really crazy. I got to say, man, the establishment is truly desperate to smear Devin Nunes, the ranking member, a Republican, claiming that a lawyer for a guy overheard from another guy that Devin Nunes met with that guy in Vienna. It's insane. It's insane. Devin Nunes then went on to publish photos of him in Libya and Malta saying it's just demonstrably false. And he's suing CNN, but I'll tell you what, CNN is likely protected because they're just reporting the claim from someone else. It's a joke I often make when it comes to the press. They say, an anonymous source tells us X. We heard this from so-and-so. I'll tell you what, you give me $20, I'll go in the alley, find some homeless guy who's going to tell me whatever you want him to say, and then I can say an anonymous source told me Devin Nunes did a backflip. Tell us who these people are. Now, I have to stop real quick and issue a rare apology, a sincere apology to Devin Nunes and other Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee and in the House, because I made a video on my second channel when I found out that Republicans knew that Adam Schiff had filed these subpoenas. I was furious. And I said, you know what, man? If these people knew Schiff had done this and they refused to speak up, they knew he was violating the civil rights of a journalist and they did nothing, well, then they deserve some flack as well. I know that Nunez is the victim in this, but come on, man. If you knew, turns out I was wrong. Later, Devin Nunes stated they knew of the subpoenas but had no idea who was being subpoenaed. So that was my bad. New information came to light. I was completely wrong. Apparently, Devin Nunes and other Republicans were aware Schiff was going to be issuing subpoenas for phone records, but he did not know it was his phone records. In this instance, he was blindsided completely, and my anger was unfounded. In this case, Devin Nunes is getting smeared and berated, having his private details released. Look, man, Nunez deserves criticism over his cow Twitter account lawsuit. Like, he's suing some parody accounts and some critics, and it's Streisand affecting and fueling a lot of that. Come on, man. If somebody's going to make fun of you, too bad. Welcome to America. Anybody who wants to make fun of you can. But in this instance, this is serious. I think it's silly that Nunez is suing over the cow Twitter account, but this is maybe one of the most terrifying stories I've seen, which is why I've done so many videos about it. Look, I know some of you may be like, Tim, we get it. Schiff did this thing. Come on, man. I'm not playing around with you guys. Adam Schiff pulling the private phone details of a journalist I'm surprised this isn't the top story on every major news outlet. Like, whoa. Let's read on, because I've got some more criticism, some more flack here from people challenging Schiff. So the congressman is currently suing CNN for defamation after the network published reporting alleging that he met with Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin last year in Vienna in order to dig up dirt on Joe Biden. Nunez told the Friends Weekend host that upon review, his phone records do not match what committee chairman Adam Schiff and the House Democrats put in their report. They asked, so you did not talk to Lev Parnas, for example, as many times as they're alleging? Nunez responds, well, let me tell you what I have. I can tell you that it doesn't match, okay? So I have one call with Rudy Giuliani in April, one in May, substantive calls. The rest of the calls were either somebody didn't connect or it was voicemail, right? Nunez also recognized an incoming call from a woman who he had assumed was Parnas' wife. I would do what I would normally do in a situation where you don't recognize somebody. You don't know somebody. You say, thank you very much. Let me get you to the appropriate staff person. Now, he goes on to say, they asked him again, so did you ever have a substantive conversation with Lev Parnas about information in Ukraine, yes or no? Nunez responded, I didn't recognize the name until just in this last month when he was indicted, because I didn't know who that person was. I can tell you that there's no way I talked about me being in Vienna meeting with random Ukrainians. That didn't happen, right? So I can tell you we didn't talk about that because that didn't happen. Nunez said that Schiff is in touch with Parnas all the time. And if there's a problem with Parnas, they need to investigate themselves. And so the truth is, 2 calls with Rudy Giuliani and 1 call with a guy that I don't even know seems pretty odd to say that's a conspiracy. I believe I'm the first member of Congress ever to have my phone records exposed like this. We are definitely going to take legal action. We need to get to court to stop that from happening again. And yes, he does. Absolutely, he does. Now, I question. I would prefer if Nunez could come out more definitively and say, no, it didn't happen. No. But the reality is, and I can respect this, Nunez is going to be challenging them in court, which means he has to be very careful about what he says on TV. If he misremembers something or says something and they take it out of context, it will be weaponized. So I can respect that. You may be familiar with Judge Napolitono. I have tremendous respect for Judge Napolitono. Okay, and he's been very anti-Trump. He's the legal expert, and he said repeatedly on TV that Trump has committed impeachable offenses. And again, Napolitano's for the most part a straight shooter. I respect this guy. So I take that seriously when he says these things. But 2 days ago, he said, unseemly for Schiff to release Nunes' phone records, possible ethics breach. I defer to the judge. Okay, he certainly knows a lot more about the law than I do. And I think he's a guy who's on the level. He has no problem challenging Trump if he needs to. And he has no problem calling out Schiff if he needs to. I think he's being fair here. They say, Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano called it unseemly that House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff released the apparent phone records of fellow lawmaker Nunez and suggested Schiff risks a possible congressional ethics case. More than that. I mean, it's not only that he released the private phone records of Nunez. He alleged a conspiracy. He was saying it's troubling that Nunez may have been conspiring with Trump or whatever, something to that effect, because he selectively chose these phone numbers and made claims. Well, it turns out, let me show you something. Turns out, Adam Schiff's committee report wrongly claimed Giuliani phoned Mick Mulvaney and other budget officials. If that's wrong, what else is wrong? Devin Nunes says his records don't match up with this. Stands to reason that not only did Adam Schiff publish the private details of a journalist and a rival in politics, but then he may have lied about the whole thing. Listen, man, I can't explain how troubling this is enough. You want to have a conversation about Donald Trump calling Ukraine and all these things? Oh, you better believe I'm right there. I am absolutely willing and ready to chant lock him up the moment evidence emerges that Donald Trump did something untoward, illegal, high crimes, misdemeanors, etc. We're not there. What did Trump say? Do us a favor, though. Our country has been through a lot, yada, yada. Sounds reasonable to me that Donald Trump was trying to weed out corruption. I think Trump's got personal motivations. I've stated many times. That's fine. But is he justified in weeding out corruption? Look, man, everybody has their perspective. So maybe Trump is angry that the Russiagate thing happened. He was maligned and accused for years, and he was eventually proven to not have colluded with Russia. And now he wants to get to the bottom of it. So he asked for an investigation. Was it inappropriate? I think it's fair to say he should have left it to the DOJ or to his officials, not take it upon himself to start asking these questions. Is it a high crime or misdemeanor? I don't think so. Now, Trump I think he's going to find some trouble for ordering people not to testify. However, what Trump did is an argument. It's literally an argument. In fact, the only bipartisan support for impeachment is on the Republican side, when these two Democrats defected, and possibly more. Moderate Democrats anonymously telling CNN, I don't see evidence for impeachment, and a safe blue Democrat in Michigan saying we're better off censuring. Says to me we got a real argument here. What Adam Schiff did, took the private details of his rival, of a journalist who was accused of no wrongdoing, violates so much. It is pure corruption. It is pure corruption. And I tell you this, the judge is coming out. The judge who said Trump committed impeachable acts is also saying this is a possible congressional ethics case. And I think so. Absolutely. So let's jump over to what Lindsey Graham is on about, because I can respect all this. Lindsey Graham pours cold water on Trump. House GOP push to subpoena Schiff. This is an article from Talking Points Memo, a left-wing publication. And I highlighted to show you that the left loves when the right refuses to play dirty. It's unfortunate. I don't think every Republican is clean. In fact, it was a Republican who asked Graham to play dirty. I also previously mentioned the appropriate thing for Republicans to do is not violate ethics, civil rights, etc. But that means Republicans face a serious uphill battle. And it's scary to me to consider that Adam Schiff could actually win by lying in this way. There are people who truly believe that Devin Nunes met with the Ukrainian prosecutor, is calling these corrupt individuals to dig up dirt, and Schiff is doing this, at least in my opinion, to discredit his chief opposition to getting Trump impeached. We are talking about a coordinated, corrupt, depraved campaign to smear journalists, politicians, to get power. Trump supporters call it a coup, man, but I'll tell you what, Adam Schiff is as dirty as they come. The moment he listen, you want to talk about Devin Nunes maybe wrongdoing? Man, we got a dangerous political game happening. Justify John Solomon. You can't do it. It cannot be done. Okay, you can justify Rudy Giuliani. Oh, but he's meeting with these people in Ukraine. Well, he's investigating, but he's not officially a U.S. actor. So fine, they can win on that ground if we want to say fine, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Justify the journalist. You can't do it. Lindsey Graham is refusing to do anything. So Graham threw cold water, they say, arguing that the Senate can't start subpoenaing other lawmakers. Quote, I don't have any desire to subpoena Adam Schiff. We're not going to do that. Graham said, according to several reporters, when members start subpoenaing each other as part of oversight, the whole system breaks down. You've got two different bodies here. Are we going to start calling House members over here when we don't like what they say or do? I don't think so. While Graham remains a staunch Trump defender, the break with Trump and Republicans was significant. Now, I'll tell you what, man. Talking Points memo and many other outlets will be quick to falsely frame anything they can to make Trump look bad. But for some reason, when Lindsey Graham does the right thing and says, I'm not playing this game, their attitude is strict journalism. It's strict journalism. Today, Lindsey Graham said X, Y, and Z, breaking with Donald Trump. But when it comes to, Gordon Sondland or some of this testimony, they're like, boom, bombshell, explosion. Donald Trump has been directly implicated in criminal activities without evidence. That's the game they play. I want to read from you a quote very quickly. This article from the New York Post. It's an article that says Democrats have embraced the exact surveillance tactics they used to warn about. Let me tell you why this is so serious. Quote from the New York Post. The same people who only a few weeks ago claimed that it was a moral and patriotic imperative to protect the identity of a whistleblower who may bring down the president are now fine with a congressman unmasking the conversation of an adversarial journalist who isn't under criminal investigation. Then again, these days there's no abuse of power Democrats find problematic as long as that abuse aids them in their fight against Donald Trump. And let me read for you one more quote actually, I'm sorry, this is the wrong article. A statement that was published by the Wall Street Journal, a former attorney general, saying there doesn't seem to be any legitimate reason why they would subpoena the phone records of these individuals. Now, my understanding is that Adam Schiff and his people said they did not target Nunez and John Solomon, but that they just so happened to get their information. I don't care. I don't care how you got their information. You published it. But more importantly, you may have published false information in an attempt to smear your rivals. This warrants an investigation. Now, let me end by saying two big points. I think Republicans stand a chance of losing a lot of their fights because, as I pointed out, Lindsey Graham is not willing to play dirty the same way Adam Schiff is. Now, that's respectable. Absolutely. But it's funny to see conservatives and Trump supporters say this is why Republicans lose. And I'm like, it is. Stop. It's the right thing, though. So there's the challenge. Do you do the right thing knowing the corrupt are going to win? Or do you fight fire with fire? Personally, I think Lindsey Graham did the right thing. I think you always must stand by your principles. If these people want to play dirty and be dastardly, corrupt, depraved individuals, the best we can hope to do is shine a light on it. And that's my position. So I will tell you about it. I will make numerous videos talking about it. I will even highlight people who have criticized Trump, pointing it out. But subpoenaing these people is not the right thing to do. But let me show you something. Here's a clip from, this is MSNBC, Meet the Press, Chuck Todd and Ted Cruz. And this shows another way in which Republicans are just not good at fighting on enemy territory. They say, watch, Senator Ted Cruz says he believes Ukraine meddled in the 2016 election. When Chuck Todd asks Ted Cruz, do you believe Ukraine meddled? He says, I believe there's a lot of evidence. Chuck Todd says, you do? Shocked. He can't believe it. Here's one tweet. I've been critical of Chuck Todd, both sides of journalism in the past, but I have to strongly commend him for trying to make ours really explain their ridiculous logic. The fact is, Ukrainians did meddle in the 2016 election. It's a fact. And Ted Cruz does try to point this out. Unfortunately, this shows that Ted Cruz, I can respect him, to a certain degree. He's taken up a lot of positions that are principled as of lately. Not that I'm a big fan of him or any of these other politicians, but I can respect that he's trying to shine some light on the facts here. Unprepared for the game they're set to play on their territory. The way you respond to this is not to claim, I do. Your response needs to be, how about this? And you show the report, because that's what I believe it was Ron Johnson who did that. Actually, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Ron Johnson. I can't remember who it was. It might have been on MSNBC, held up the report from Politico. When you are challenged by someone trying to lie, and you can see Ted Cruz does a good job of being principled, saying, you're trying to claim that Russia didn't meddle and Ukraine did, but no one's saying that. Everybody knows Russia had this top-down system of election meddling, and Ukraine had various individuals meddling. They're trying to claim that the Republicans are pushing a fake narrative where Russia didn't meddle. No. But Ted Cruz did a good job, but not good enough. And this is what I want to show, that when it comes to the manipulation and the underhanded tactics, the lies, the deceit, the corruption, the violation of civil liberties we've seen from Adam Schiff, Republicans just keep thinking they're going to play it straight and they're going to win, and they are not. It's not going to happen. What's really scary, some journalists go on CNN earlier and say the exact same thing about Republicans. And so at one point I sat back and I said, is it possible that we both really just think the exact same things about each other? That there is a right and a left that views the other as lying and cheating and stealing? Maybe that we're just wrong on that. And then I saw Brian Stelter tell you on his show not to watch the other side. Don't listen to what they have to say. I think it might have been Jack Tapper saying, don't read the WikiLeaks documents. You're not legally allowed to have it. And I said, that's really strange. They're telling you not to read the news or look at other information. That seems like they're trying to protect lies. Because my position is, and always will be, as many other conservatives, moderates, and politically homeless liberals, is always make sure you know exactly what they're saying. Because if you don't, how can you know what's true? I strongly encourage people who watch my content to go watch the content of the left, of the mainstream press, and my political commentary rivals. I frequently recommend people on the left who disagree and agree to certain degrees, because I think it's important. If we're truly going to get to the bottom of what's going on, you need to read and watch as much as possible. And don't just take my word for it. I always say, fact check me on this. I may be wrong. But what do we get from MSNBC and CNN? Don't watch the other side. They're liars. They'll trick you. They'll make you think fake news. Trump believes insane conspiracies that you can't trust. Now, I'll tell you what. I believe Trump doesn't believe some insane conspiracies. And you know what? The best thing you can do? Go read those stories and see what his opponents have to say to figure out if Trump's talking truth or not. I think Trump doesn't trust the press because they lie about him all the time and he knows it. Let me tell you something. The biggest wake-up call for somebody to realize the press is full of it is when they lie about you. And then you're like, whoa, that's not true. Trump gets it every day. But I will end by saying, while Republicans are trying to fight on principled grounds with legitimate arguments, and it may or may not work, there's at least one guy who's trying to fight back in an also incorrect way, but at least, hey, check this out. Bryce Mitchell offers to beat up politicians for Donald Trump after UFC win. Whoa, stop. Don't beat anybody up, Bryce. I can respect your passion and your righteous indignation, but no, I don't think he was serious, but it is a funny story. Maybe I'll check this one out for later in the day, but I'll leave it there. Look, man, I have political complaints with conservatives, and that's fine. You know, I see people arguing on Twitter, some conservatives about family and children and what should or shouldn't be legal, prohibition and things like that. And we have real arguments. I say, hey, man, I believe in freedom. I think people should be allowed to do what they want to do. Just don't mess with the kids. And we can agree or disagree. And we find a compromise. Nah, there's no compromising with someone like Adam Schiff. He's lying. He's lied several times before about having evidence. He's publishing private details. This is beyond corruption. I mean, this guy is so desperate and in your face with it. He only gets by because the media refuses to do anything about it. I'll leave it there. I will see you all in the next segment at 6 p.m. youtube.com/TimCastNews. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you all next time.